You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Hour, the show that brings you unfiltered stories and insight from the Twin Cities real estate world with your hosts, Chris Rooney, broker at RE/MAX Preferred, and Andy Presky, leader of the Preferred Home Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
I'm ready, Andy.
I can see that, my friend.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
I actually bought it for a wedding to go to, and then I chickened out to wear it.
That's cool that your boxers match. That's neat.
I didn't go back that far. Hold on. No.
You know Chris never wears pants on these shows, right?
I'm trying to do the standing podcast today.
Oh, good for you.
We're going for it.
Do you guys have any plans for Cinco de Mayo?
I do now. That little intro got me kind of fired up. I think I'm ready after that big wild win.
No kidding, right?
I got to show like 5 houses today, though. So after that, though, I'm Cinco and de Mayo-ing it. So
Cinco and de Mayo-ing it.
Yep.
What's kind of weird is it's only an American holiday. It's not a Mexican thing. It's just for Americans.
Yeah.
Well, does that shock you? I mean, you know, we like to celebrate here, so.
True.
A lot of the world looks back at us and goes, "You're doing what?" So.
Hey, Andy, big news, though. The Fed, they raised rates. What can you tell us, the listeners, about it?
Well, it's about time. I mean, they raised mortgage rates about a month ago, scared the living pants off of the marketplace, and raised everybody's payments about $200 a month on average. And the Fed had not lifted their key rate yet. And so we're kind of waiting on the Feds to raise it, but the banks are like, hey, they're raising it. They said they were gonna, so they raised mortgage rates ahead of time in anticipation. And the marketplace, you saw the stock market, I'm sure too, responded very well with the news that, okay, they're finally gonna do something to fight inflation. They're gonna bring rates up a little bit. And that hopefully will slow things down a little bit. But I'm not an economist. All I know is that I think it stinks that there was and hey, this is how it goes, right? There's not a lot of ramp up period. between now and when the actual when you're sitting and hovering at 3 for so long, and then all of a sudden overnight it seemed like they jumped up to 4.5 to 5, and all of a sudden everybody's sitting there going, wait a minute. And they would assume they would just relax. Like a lot of times they go up and they come down. You kind of follow a chart and they go like this, but they just went up and they've been staying there. And so it's kind of or bouncing around up here a little bit, I guess you could say. But hey, here's the deal. 5% on your money is still a great interest rate to borrow at if you have to borrow. It's just more than what we were used to, right? I was using the analogy of the hot tub, right? The hot tub just cooled down 2 degrees and everybody's like, oh, it's freezing in here. It's down to 100 from 102. Is it?
Another Andy's analogy. Good one.
Yeah. I apologize.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. But so basically what you're saying though, Andy, is that from the mortgage rate for houses, they've kind of reacted to that already. It maybe even overreacted a little.
Yeah.
So those should calm down just a little bit more.
Well, you'd be so upset if you saw what those banks are literally taking their loans at, and then they're loaning it to you and making the gap on it. And it's like, yeah, come on, guys. It's not right. But I guess that's why you should all be bankers.
There you go. All right. Well, market's still kind of the market.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And it's good. There's some really good stuff. And then there's some other things that are kind of staying. But I think it's going back to the old pricing segments. There's hot markets in certain ones, and we're very fortunate that we have basically a showing system setup thing that is shared with all the different agents. And so we can kind of get a feel for what price points are getting more showings at, more activity in. And it's really interesting in where people are pricing them. I was just doing a market analysis yesterday, and in this area, which is a fairly big area in Minneapolis, there was 20 listings. Not one of them was on the market for over 24 days, but in that, 7 of them had already reduced, one being within 5 days. And I think that's kind of a lesson to be learned, is that you don't price what you think people are going to pay. You price based on what it is, and then people will push it to that. And
you price. I keep saying, I say this every week. You price to create demand. Yeah. If you don't create the demand, you're not going to get the multiple offers like everybody talks about at work and over asking price. You're going to actually end up like you look on the MLS now and you're seeing some of these properties coming in where they're not even getting list price and they're asking for closing costs. For one cut of my clients is actually, we just put all their paperwork together for a cool little townhouse over in a city close to me. I'm not supposed to advertise, I guess, but cute little townhouse. Watch my website. That's coming, and they're moving to Illinois. And in the market they're moving into, it's a smaller community. They, on average, have still 38 days of market time. And what's really crazy is that this guy found a house listed for $100,000, and the agent that's in that local market said, "Hey, they've only been on the market like 18 days. We should wait till 30 and then go in at 80,000." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this sounds like 2007 for us." Yeah. I'm like, they're in a whole different, and that's 35, 40 minutes out of Chicago on the south side of town there, almost on the Indiana border. And so it's one of those communities where prices and the market's not the same. So bottom line is, not everybody's going crazy. Not everybody's paying crazy numbers. It has to make sense. So you have to price it so people want it. And then once they decide they want it, then they bring the price up.
Absolutely.
What's in your coffee today, Rooney?
I don't drink coffee.
Oh, just
it's Cinco de Mayo, though.
I hate the worm, man. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get this baby moving. What are we talking? Wow, if rates were to rise just 50 basis points more, or home prices were to increase just 5% more, home affordability would be the worst on record. Huh.
I can nor deny nor agree with that stat without seeing my charts. Yeah. But it's funny how you can effectively change, the stats really. That's why, we all play stat. What's funny is like you watch a sporting event And they're like, that's the first time that's ever happened in 27 years. And you're like, oh, what are they talking about? They create hype out of nothing. Well, it's the first time anybody's done a left-handed free throw while 3 minutes left on the clock. And you're like, oh, who cares? So sometimes these stats are, like I always say, right now we are still affordable. And if you don't think those feds and all everybody else is looking at that, they don't want to kill housing, guys. I'm telling you, it's too big of a beast. If they kill housing, everything else is screwed. We all saw what happened in the early, 2006 to 2010, 12, and they don't want to do that again. So anyway.
I totally agree. I think I also, and I've been saying it on here, that I think people need to start just looking at houses as, hey, I've got to get something. I want something, and that's the one I want, and I'm willing to pay a little more for it to have it. Yep. And rather than thinking, oh my gosh, we're so overpaying for something, but you're overpaying for everything right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying way too much for a car. You're paying way too much for lumber. You're paying way too much for your deck or your deck railings or whatever.
Or as most employers would say, we're paying you way too much to be here to do this task.
Yeah.
Right?
There's some of that. I saw something on Twitter. They were saying, someone was saying, what do you do at a desk job anyways? And people, it was so funny, the responses. Well, fantasy football, we have different boards. I do some emails and act like they don't do any work. It's like, there's a problem. So.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I do think that you'll have a little bit of a, remember when we used to work from home? That was awesome. You might hear that in the future.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Everyone I've talked to that's working from home says they're much better for the company, and it works really good. There's a few that, can't work at home. I'm one of those guys. I have a real hard time working at home. I have to go to my other home, Buffalo Wild Wings, to get my work done. So,
and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that there's, surround yourself with inspiration. And I think that what happens is a lot of us got trapped into our houses and we're forced to work from home. And then you got a little kid going, dad, and so now that a lot of those distractions have been handled. And you're right, Chris. I do believe there's a lot of people that can work from home effectively. But remember, the people that are telling you that are the people that are working from home, not their boss. Their bosses, a lot of times when you're working at executive levels, they do have a lot of their staff they can keep out in the field. But what they're saying is that they're having a heck of a time creating corporate culture through email, through Zooms, through whatever. And so what happens is you have no loyalty. They have to have interactivity and interaction with each other to create corporate culture, to keep people retained as employees. Otherwise, it's always, I'm going to the highest bidder. I'm just going to keep shopping until I'm making, whatever I need to make.
People thought this was a real estate show. This is good.
Yeah. I have a perfect transition from home affordability, working remotely, and Cinco de Mayo. I have found 4 Mexican properties that might shock you guys, and we're going to check them out. We're going to hear your guys' thoughts and see if it's a good deal for our listeners to snag. The first one, and probably the most expensive one, is in Merida, Mexico. Okay, one second. So Merida is this beautiful city in the Yucatan. It's the second safest city in all of the Americas. The Americas are South America, North America. And there is basically zero narco violence because there was, I guess, the rumor is a truce between all the cartels that they will send their family and their kids to go study there. So it's like a safe zone. I was there. It was beautiful. It was very cheap compared to like a Cancun or a Tulum. And it's only 30 minutes away from the Gulf of Mexico. So you have those beaches and whatnot. So let's go through this and let's hear your guys' comments.
It's $519,000 for a lease.
Hi everyone, this is Carlos Betancourt from Merida Living. Thank you once again for joining us on another video. Today I'm going to show you a phenomenal house that has so many amenities to make lots of also amazing size or
the old colonial feel.
I think I want it.
Just wait till you see the best parts.
Andy, think about how much that would cost to build
Oh God,
all
yeah.
those floors like that.
I'm thinking about how loud our house would be if we ever were visiting each other in that house with all those floors.
Yeah.
Echo, echo, echo.
Yeah.
But you really can't do carpet down there. Oh, look at that ceiling. That's cool. I like that.
There it is. That's
Nice.
a sweet area. And remember, it's always sunny year-round in Merida.
Wow.
How far is that from airports, Nick?
So there is Merida International Airport, which has pretty cheap flights from like Texas and Florida and whatnot. But I think it's about maybe 3 hours or 4 hours from Cancun, the big international airport that everyone flies into.
Okay. All right. So 519 USDA. So I assume those are like land leases, 99-year land leases. So that's not really a big deal. They just, yeah. So 519 grand on that. Wow.
If it was fee simple where we could own it and it was protected and it was, one of the things a lot of people forget is back in the 80s, the Mexican government went back and took away all foreign owners' rights to own any properties. So you paid $1 million for a house on the ocean. It's no longer yours. I'll leave it at that.
Nick is willing to come over.
I know they want to be more competitive, but I'll tell you what, in an environment like that where they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, I'm still skeptical. I would rent for forever before I would buy down there, but that's just me.
Yeah, so they did that a lot in Tulum recently too, I guess, because that's where everyone is going, and a lot of money came in there. So people that had old hostels and hotels, the cartel came in there and just snatched it. But I know some people that have been just fine owning property down there. I mean, maybe something like this is a little more expensive and sought after, but
Yeah.
Merida, there was no crime. I mean, I felt more safe there than, in a suburb in Minnesota. It was crazy.
That's cool. That's what we all want, right?
Yeah.
Should we go to the next one?
Yeah.
I think this stuff too is all about, it's like everyone's dream. Everyone has a dream to be able to do this, but yeah, the realities of it, of getting there, of being worried about crime, being worried about if they're going to take it away from you, all that kind of stuff plays into it and kind of just keeps people at bay. But it's kind of fun to wish and hope.
So is my conversion rate correct? So like they were saying it was 528 meters or whatever. Is that like times 9? So it actually was like over 5,000 square foot house.
Look like it.
That is, I don't care who you are. That's a good deal.
Yeah. That's.
But a lot of my brother has a lot of his workers that come up from Mexico City, and they were still building houses for like $50,000-$60,000 for their families. And so they'd come up in the U.S., make their money. They'd move back down there. They'd build houses that they could house mom and dad and their families and whatever else. And then they would actually, if they got to the point where they had a surplus, they would do rentals.
Yeah. So Andy, a lot of these prices too are inflated for the gringos. Like if you go down there,
For sure.
do it like on the ground, you find way better deals. But like you said, that's a pretty good price for what you're getting at that one house.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so here we go. This one is in Isla Mujeres. This is like the island right next to Cancun. A lot of Americans have actually bought property here, and it's beyond safe. And obviously, right next to the Cancun International Airport. It's one of the most beautiful islands I've been on. And then we got this.
There's only one major flaw with that house. Zoom in on the center. Green
Packers.
Bay. Packers. You just lost 100,000, sir.
That's why it's $299.
Yeah. There you go. Chris, we'd get on our golf carts. We could go out to the park every day and ride our scooters around. And a couple of years ago, we went out there with our team when we were on a vacation. And my gosh, we had a blast driving around golf carts and everything else. And then on I believe it was a north side of the island. It's a little disturbing because all of a sudden everything's like beautiful. And then you got their dump. And it's like you have to drive through it to it's a big circle. So anybody that's been out there knows what I'm talking about. And you kind of drive through the dump and there's like raccoons out there, and you're driving by it on your golf cart. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, there was some amazing property though on even in the north to the ocean side.
Yeah.
It's like gated off, and I saw some unbelievable places. But then, yeah, there's the places where the locals live, and it's quite different. So this is in the center of the island, which is pretty good because, like you said, this island is really easy to get around. I mean, it takes maybe 30 minutes round trip, like to go back and forth.
If you go all the way down to the south end down there, Nick, keep going. That's the north. Go the other way.
This is.
Oh, that's the north. Okay, so that's where they have that big park.
This is like where the main bay is, and like where the ferries come in.
Okay, so on the other end of the island is where they have kind of that big, beautiful, I believe it's a lighthouse, and they have the views and the vistas off this island are just stunning, right from that spot right there.
Yep.
Punta Sur is unbelievable.
What do you guys want to do?
Fun little bars along there. I don't know. I think it'd be a fun place to live. I'd feel pretty safe out there.
Cool. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to discount $300,000, but I mean, to be on an island like that, I wonder what the extra costs are, from property taxes to utilities to that type of stuff, that ongoing cost. I mean, if someone invests, $300,000 American to just purchase it outright, what that thing would cost them. But boy, I think that'd be a fun little place to be able to head to there for sure.
You'd have to change your habits though too with hygiene. I know they don't let you flush any paper or any of that kind of stuff, so that'd be kind of.
It's third world, developing with the water and whatnot. Okay, this last one, because this is taking a little longer, is this a house in Cozumel, and this would be. I mean, Cozumel is probably my favorite island in Mexico.
For sure.
There's a little city center, and the rest of it is kind of like barren, but the most beautiful water and nature. So this would be like a fixer-upper, but I think you could get this for about $50,000. So I'll show you the front is it's like one of these. Okay, I mean, terrible photos.
We should give Maria a call and let her use some of our guys.
It's Mary, by the way.
But this location is right in the city center. It's perfect location.
Yeah, that'd be a fun little cheap way to go down and stroke a check, pay cash, and have no overhead. And, Chris could start selling T-shirts. I'd rent go-karts or something, or.
My sashes. I'd sell sashes.
I don't know what I'd be selling, but I'd be selling something. I know there was a Carlos and Charlie's that closed right at the pier. And I was like, how does a Carlos and Charlie's close? And you know what I mean? This is
too Americanized. It's too Americanized. That's those ones that they don't work. That's America trying to make Chinese or Mexican food, Chinese food.
True. Well, there's actually, if you look at Chinese and Mexican food, the influence on the Mexican culture is heavily influenced by the Chinese. Like your outfits you're wearing, the silk outfits they wear, the rice in their dishes, none of that's native to there. It's all Chinese influence. Yeah. No joke.
Another
I
interesting.
learned that when I was down there.
Wow, brilliant.
Another interesting fact though about Cozumel right now is because of the whole thing that happened the past 2 years. They survived a lot on tourism, like the cruise ships, and so now like Cozumel went through like rough times, and I think you could get a lot of good deals down there. And again, like Merida, the narco influence isn't that bad in Cozumel. I felt really safe there, and I haven't heard of many people who have had issues. It's like one big family. The locals, everyone knows everyone because it's so small, the population. But I'll tell you what, if like you're gonna retire, I met some older retired Americans there. They just they had a home, and then they went scuba diving because it's the second best scuba diving spot like in the world. So he just goes scuba diving every day, and he said he's had no problems in like 30 years since he's been there.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. Where if you were a scuba or a surfing, sailing, there's so much to do there for that. It's like a tropical island, for sure. Well, that's what it is.
How are I mean, kind of a big thing for us or Americans or people working and traveling is internet connections down there. Issues, good, bad?
No problem in Cancun. I never had. Playa del Carmen, my internet was fast. Tulum is kind of an issue. Cozumel was not that bad. Merida is pretty fast. But yeah, if you go to like outside of civilization, it gets a little shaky. But I work from home just fine there. Did my podcast totally fine.
Nice.
Cool. Okay. For people that don't know, Nick's kind of a world traveler. So
you think?
Yeah.
I went to South Dakota last year.
Okay,
Hey, you're on your team trip. How did it end up? Was it good?
Yeah, we brought home a team mascot now too.
Nice.
Yeah, I couldn't believe this was only $12, so I bought it. I'm like, this is the coolest dumb little souvenir.
That's perfect for you.
I've been playing with it since I got home. I'm like sitting there fidgeting with it on my desk.
Surprised there's not some animal inside of its mouth right by now. Little doggy toy.
I was joking with my kids, and so I put the dog's toy in its mouth, and then I took the picture from this way, so it looked like there's an alligator with a toy in its mouth, and my dog's walking up to it, and the kids are like, "Where'd you get the alligator?"
Here we go. Our next segment, Andy's Analogy, is brought to you by Mr. Andy Praske, Preferred Home Team.
Well, they said I could have 30 seconds on the show for a quick ad. Andy Praske, Remax Advantage Plus, Andy@Praske.com if you want to email us. Here's the thing. 22 years in the business, over 1,400 sales. I'd like to help you with your real estate needs. If that's buying, if that's selling, if that's building, whatever it is, give us a call, send us an email. Let's get you started on your real estate journey. I'd like to help you on the way. Lots of experience here, and I would like to put it to work for you. Andy Praske, Remax Advantage Plus. Thanks for listening to the show. That guy looks nice.
And his analogy, that guy looks nice. That's
Yeah, that's it.
That's you. Why do some sellers insist on being present for the home inspection, Mr. Praske?
Neurotic. No, it's great. I think a lot of times people are concerned with what are they looking at? How are they looking at it? Could I be there to enhance that, what they're looking at and saying, oh, here's why it does this, or here's why it does that. And I got to be honest with you. I think most of the time, unless there's something that's completely rigged incorrectly, like, oh, you got to stand on one foot, plug it into the switch, and then you double pump the switch, and then the pump will come on. That kind of weird, quirky stuff I get. But other than that, I mean, your stuff should be to code. Your stuff should work without explanation. All of the items in your house, I like to unbiasedly let them view the home so they can ask questions. When you're standing there, I don't think buyers ask the proper questions, or the questions that satisfy their true curiosity. And so sometimes I think you can, for the 1 out of 10 that you help it, I think 9 out of 10 you actually heard it.
Comfortable when they're there. Oh, the buyer's not comfortable,
right?
At the inspection when they can't look at the house, because no one's going to look at it and say, "Oh my gosh, look at how they clean the range. It's dirty." You're not going to look at that, or you're going to be embarrassed, or you're not going to look at things because there's a seller breathing down your neck. So it's just best to be gone. Sometimes if a buyer wants, maybe show up at the very end, you can do it. But typically I never like buyers and sellers to get together. It usually never ends up well.
There's too many things other than real estate that can cause conflict that I don't like them to talk about.
Right. It even comes up with, well, what do you think of the neighborhood? Well, I can't stand that person because they're divorced and, have 3 kids. And all of a sudden now the buyer is, 2 divorced people coming together for a marriage, and you just got to watch. I'm always like, oh, geez. That's why the whole closing thing is one of the best things ever that's happened. I think in our real estate time is that we don't put buyers and sellers. There's a little anti-climaticism about it, but it's much better when they don't get time to talk. Andy, you've told stories about different things and people. It's just like all of a sudden it blows up and people walk out. They don't like each other. And they kind of get a feel for the person and they're, I'm out of here. I don't want to do it.
We just had one about a week ago where there was a real true translation issue. And the way the question was posed to the seller, the translation came across very rude. And we were sitting there going, why would somebody say something that rude to a seller to their face? And all of a sudden the young kid goes, I don't think my dad meant it that way. Here's what he was trying to say. And it's like, but you don't, for 30 seconds, you're sitting there going, what? And it can be a problem. So I always say, you go to closing to give autographs, not opinions. And I tell everybody that. I go, hey, let's go there. We'll sign in the other room. If you guys want to shake hands with these people when we're all done, I go, I just don't need us sitting around doing small talk. Small talk always causes problems. And in the event that you think you need to tell them everything about it, about that house, let me make a sheet for you and give me the instructions how to turn on the pump in the spring, how to winterize the whatever in the fall, how to, those quirky things that, and it's always dads like me. Oh, I'm the only one that understands how it works, and I need to explain it to them, and usually.
Yeah, it's very, very true. And it's kind of like, you know what? It's not your house anymore. They can run their house how they want to be able to run their house.
That's right.
But yeah, it's just not a good thing to get them together. It just isn't. After it's all done and said, maybe meet up in a week or 2 weeks or get a phone call, but it's best to go through
once the check's clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Awesome. One of our favorite listener segments is brought to you by Chris Rooney Home Experts. We're going to react to viral real estate social media. Ooh, 1 second.
I was just 1 year old when my family started in real estate, where both my parents were agents. They also dabbled in investing in real estate, rentals, flips, and construction. After college, I went right into getting my license in July of 1990. As a 23-year-old agent in an industry that looks nothing like today, I had to know more for my clients to choose me. There wasn't Zillow or social media to tell them how good I was. I had to win them over with knowledge. With knowledge comes confidence, and with confidence comes results.
What do you think, Randy?
The $800,000 listing in Fairfax, Virginia went viral this week because, along with 3,500 square feet of colonial home, comes a squatter in the basement. The online Zillow ad notes there is no access to the lower level due to a resident living there with, quote, no lease in place. Listing agent Zinta K. Rogers telling the Washingtonian the basement dweller took advantage of an elderly homeowner and, quote, weaseled her way in, now living there for 3 years without paying rent. In addition to the squatter, the home features original windows, some with rot, a dishwasher that doesn't work, and at least $25,000 worth of sorely needed repairs. Who would sign up for that, right? Well, this money pit with a live human living in the basement sold in a week for over the asking price.
Oh, God bless America.
That's 2021, 2022 right there. Yeah, that's crazy.
Chris, I had that happen to a client of ours. They there was a situation where an elderly lady had given her niece a key to check on her periodically, and the niece had lived somewhere else. And anyway, she passed away, and the elderly lady did not necessarily 100% trust her family. So she had an independent woman that she knew from work from years ago that agreed to do this for her to help her try to, settle her estate and make sure that everybody gets what they were supposed to get and that nobody does any shenanigans. Well, we go over after the woman had passed away. They went over to actually take a look at the house and help, get the house ready to sell. And by gosh, there were people living in the house and in a secured building where you only know passwords to get in. You go through 3 different doors to get into this place. So you have to know all the codes. You have to know all the whatevers. So she's in there and they can't get her out of there. And they've been trying for a long time because the gal that actually is in charge of the estate does not technically own the house. So it's a mess. And this kind of stuff happens all the time where people know the laws. They're basically, I don't mean to say this. I don't want to see anybody else living on the street, but these people are crooks where they're literally stealing. And they know they're stealing, and they've done enough research. So they're not like they're not intelligent. They've obviously done their research on how to protect themselves and how to squat because otherwise they wouldn't be there. They would have thrown out the day they got in there. You know what I mean?
Well, there's professionals. There's professionals that do that stuff. I mean, that's unreal.
Sure.
But that one that he was doing the video about, I'm sure the story with that is that just that elderly lady just didn't know what to do. And now it gets listed because you do have, I mean, that was happening a lot, Andy. You probably dealt with that a lot when you were doing all the foreclosures, because there was people living in there, and people would buy the houses with that renter in place, and they'd have to, once they owned it, they'd have to go in and evict them.
Well, that was, you guys, that was a very common practice in small town America. I mean, where all of a sudden, you're older and you have a big rambler and you rent out the basement to a college kid or the new nurse in town or the teacher or whatever, and they don't want to necessarily live in an apartment, so they rent the basement. That was very, I mean, like Rooneyville, USA, before Rooneyville ever started. And, that was the idea there. And so I'm sure it was something like that where they said, hey, you mow the grass and shovel the driveway, you can live in the basement for free. And then they pass away and there's no technical lease in place. So anyway.
Yeah.
You can get them on.
Is going to make this look so much better. Check this out. Wait. It's supposed to be better than this. Okay, let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So much better.
That's awesome.
Those are cool. Those are super cool. It's they do that a lot when dealing with impervious surface as well, to be able to, you see that a lot in Excelsior, different patterns and stuff like that, or just like where the two tires go on and grass is all around it. But it's super cool.
I'm probably gonna end up doing that up in Alexandria. There's when you look at the impervious surface, I think you can only take up like 25% of the lot. So, it doesn't take a whole lot with a big fat driveway to eat up all that space. And then all of a sudden then you can't have a barn or you can't have that extra garage. So if you want to have those creature comforts, sometimes you sacrifice a driveway by doing something creative like that.
Remember Denny Long did that with Pat Remick. I'll never forget that because we talked about it on the show, in that Denny just wanted a bigger driveway. He couldn't have it, because he needed, his kids started driving and stuff. Yep. And so they did those blocks. And so it totally looked like grass, but then they just parked right on it. It looked really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Rob the jewelry store and tell them make me a grill. Had a whole top diamond in the bottom rose gold. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
That's good. He finds some good ones here. That is funny, but that a lot of people do need to. It's still surprising to me. A lot of people still don't know how the commission is split up. I mean, we explain it. I explain it all the time, but everyone's like, "Oh, okay, now I get it." And then some buyers are like, "Well, I have to pay. How much do I have to pay for the commission?" And I'm like, "Well, you don't. I mean, it's basically, it comes from the seller's agent. We get paid by them, and you show them and understand." It's just really, it's interesting this day and age that people still don't know what it is. So agents, remember that, explain it, tell people, because some of them don't ask, and I think it's important that people know how we do get paid.
It is. Well, if you don't understand something, why would you do it?
A lot of people do.
If somebody says they need to get paid, 6 or 7%, and they sit across the day and you go, well, for what? And then, what's really kind of crazy, Chris, is there's a lot of people, that go, they sign a listing contract. I've had this happen to me several times, where then on our listing agreements now, it actually breaks that down for you so that it's very crystal clear. It says that of the commission you're paying us, we are paying out a buyer's cooperative commission of blank. And I can't tell you how many times I've been sat down with people and they're like, that's on top of the regular commission? That's a lot. And I'm like, no. It's included in the regular commission. It's part of.
Right.
So I always give here's my Andy's analogy. I go, we're showing you how much worm we're going to put on your hook when we take you fishing. You know what I mean? So we're not just going to chintz you. We're going to put the whole worm on there, or half the worm on there. We'll catch you a fish.
Jesus.
Come check this. Come check this.
That was awesome.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever. I wish I would have learned those a long time ago. I'd be
Yeah.
great.
The getting out of the dog's way, it's usually cats. Cats, I don't know. And cats know, they have that instinct. They know when you don't want them to touch you, and then they come up to you and they rub on your leg or something. It's like, oh my gosh.
We have so many cat stories. Oh, so funny. I'll never forget one time, my sister, Missy, she's in real estate too, and she was kind of getting a house ready. And she was there by herself, and the owner had to go to work, and she was stuck. It was like one of those 3-level townhomes, and she was up by the bedrooms, and the cat was at the bottom of the stairs. And she was up there. She's like, the thing's just staring at me. She's calling me. She goes, you got to get over here. You got to get here and help me. And I'm like, I can't get there. And she goes, well, stay on the phone with me. And you could hear her screaming through the house, running away from a little cat. A little cat. But she said it was chasing her, and oh, it's funny.
I believe her. Some of those cats, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I know. And that's a good thing for owners to do. We talk about pets, and people, everyone likes a pet. Even if you don't like them, you like them. They're cute or whatever. But they're not cute when you're trying to show a house. They just get in your way. They just keep them out of the way. Because even if someone loves them and thinks they're the greatest things in the world, then they're going to go concentrate more on that pet than they are going to look at your fireplace. So it's just good to have them gone, and any resemblance of them gone. So dishes and beds and cat heavens, those trees, things with carpet all the way up to the ceiling, those things, they just got to go.
Yeah.
Do you want to see why I decided to go into commercial real estate instead of residential? Look, I'm a go big or go home kind of cat. And in life, I decided I need to go big. Follow my page to get ahead in real estate.
Yeah, those $30 million listings are super easy to get. Or as my daughter would say, soupies.
Soupies, yeah. It's a commercial is a different gig. I've been very fortunate that I have clients of mine that I've got to work not only selling companies, but buildings and businesses and purchasing them. And it is fun. I think if I had to back it up, I think I might have gone into that in kind of like the mid 90s, but it's a different gig, and it's a lot of just on the phone call, and you're dealing with people from all over America and more investors. And that's not as fun. It's a different kind of.
Well, let me throw this out there. A lot of times too, when there's that big of a sale price, I wonder if the commissions are negotiated. Yes, they are.
Yeah. So that means go big or don't go home. Something
go
like
big, but don't. I wouldn't bet the whole farm on getting one big check every year, because I knew a guy that did commercial, and he'd go 2 years without a paycheck, and then he'd get a $400,000 commission. And it's like, who wants to live by feet? That's like trying to live off lottery tickets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reality is that like commercial and residential, there's not a lot of people that make a lot of money in real estate. There really isn't. I mean, from selling it, buying it, and doing those kind of things, people make money. But selling it, it's just not as lucrative as one might think, or think like in a grouping. Hey, realtors, they make so much money. It's not true. Just not true. Poor Andy.
Send your checks to.
Exactly. Hey, a Venmo. Dick, put a Venmo thinger on there.
We'll make a Patreon for exclusive content and real estate fun.
Oh, nice. Patreon, Andy.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds great.
It does. It actually is. It's actually kind of cool. It gives you more content. So a lot of the podcasters and stuff are doing that, where they're kind of going a little more in depth. So let's just say that we wanted to do it for realtors, more in-depth realtor knowledge, that we could do that, and then they'd pay to be able to listen to that part of it. So you do this. Yeah. So you do this where it's kind of for everyone. And then you really dive into, hey, here's how I'd market a $300,000 house in Champlin with a 3-car garage a mile from the park, kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. Just saying. Someone taught me that. Old dogs learn new tricks.
Nice.
All right, let's laugh a little more. Here's some real estate memes.
What the world would look like if dual agency was banned?
It's basically saying like it would be a perfect world in a utopia. Is this true?
Wow. Not
I
really.
think there'd be a lot of misrepresentation though, because it depends on who your fiduciary responsibilities go to. You know, I mean, if you're just sitting there as a mediator and you're like, hey, I don't give a crap about anybody. Here's what's going on. Here's how you're getting screwed. Here's how you're not getting screwed. Here's how you're taking advantage or not advantage. You know what I mean? That'd be different. But then, you know, that's not most people want somebody in their corner. Kind of like you're heading into the boxing ring. They want to have a coach. They want to have somebody to motivate them, know what they're made of, know when to dive deep. So that's where I think, you know, that's just my opinion. But
there's some though, from a like in an upper bracket type thing, is a lot of those people just go directly to the listing agent for various reasons. Number one, they probably want to go to the person that knows what they're doing. They think they can handle themselves and not have a problem with it, and then just go right to the source rather than playing around. And I think in general, the people that are getting the upper bracket listings have probably been in the business a while, and or the ethics are good. And dual agency is a serious thing, and we can't discuss price, terms, or motivation on either body's part unless instructed by that party. So it's really hard for the realtor. Everyone thinks, oh man, you're getting both sides of the deal. You're going to make so much more money. It's so much harder. I would much rather represent that one seller and then go represent a buyer somewhere else rather than have it on the same deal. It's a really big burden on us, but I mean, I'm very straightforward with it. And sometimes people will try to deal directly with the listed agent because they think they're going to get money off. And that's just not what it is. So some people have made it that way. And some people think you can do that, but I don't. That's not the game I play. So anyways, that's Patreon. That's for Patreon, Andy. Me researching the seller on Google so I know what type of lunatic I'm dealing with. Boy, I can't believe how many of our buyers do that now, and our sellers. You know, they want to know the names. We'll go over. They want to stalk them. They want to know what they are, who they are. You know, I mean, now
why are they moving?
The Ring doorbells and stuff like that. You cannot have audio on those things, and you need to let people know. But now sellers are being able to look at who the people are, who comes with them, you know, how they walked around, how long they were in the house. We time people with an electronic lockbox. We know exactly how long they've been in there, you know. So it's it's reality. It's what it is. So clean up your.
We actually have a few of our the CRM systems where they keep track of our customer management, kind of systems, and all of those have integrated social media, buttons that are on there, so that if somebody signs up on a website and says, "Hey, I'm Bill Smith and I want to look at a house," well, Bill Smith's information goes into our system, and then for agent safety as well, we have the ability to click that to make sure that they're a legitimate person. Because if they're not, and let's say that their social media profiles or they don't have any, right? That happens. I mean, and then we will be a little more cautious with a person that's completely, mystery person versus somebody that's actually out there. We live in Florida. We're moving back to Minnesota because we're having a baby. We want to be by mom and dad, and you can see everything. I think in a world of earning trust and expecting to be trustworthy, right? Because I look at my team all the time in their safety, and I look at, okay, how do we provide them with a safe experience, do their job as a professional, but yet maintain that sense of, I don't want my people to feel unsafe. And so that's really, I think, part of it. And then there's just human curiosity, I think, as well, that we're so used to knowing everything about everybody all the time, whenever we want. Oh my God, they just had a cheeseburger for lunch and they had a whatever. And there's some of those people that throw everything out there. So our culture consumes that information and they don't understand, why can't I learn about this person? I get information about everybody else I want to get information about. So it's a different world for sure.
Yeah, I had two people contact me really fairly close on a listing of mine through WhatsApp. Okay. No one but my family gets a hold of me through WhatsApp, and a few out of country clients that do it. But they're like, "Oh, I want to buy this house," and I'm like, it just hit them right away. I said, then you need to get a realtor to be able to show it to you. Well, I thought you were my realtor. And I said, I'll be your realtor, but you have to send me an ID and a pre-approval letter, and then we can set up a showing. And then lo and behold, they don't do it. It's really crazy.
No, we did. We actually had this happen with one of our properties we had listed, and they said, contacted us, same thing through WhatsApp, said they're international investor. They want us to go through the house on FaceTime, and we legitimately went through the house on FaceTime, through the WhatsApp, showed them everything, right, that they wanted to see. And they said, yep, we're going to submit an offer. And they made a cash offer. And then we're like, well, where's you need proof of funds? And they sent us some letter that was like the National Wildlife Association Fund for North America, some crazy, weird, like nonprofit. And they go, okay, well, we're going to send you a check for $50,000. We need that to be deposited. And all they were trying to do is trying to get us to deposit a check so they could siphon the money out. You know what I mean? And get access to all the account information. And it's like, I'm going, once a real estate agent tries to be a nice guy or gal, and then you get this kind of, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. Losers.
I held that check for a long time too, just to be funny, because it was an actual check.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of scams going on, especially with older guys like you, the boomers. They try to play off you. That's crazy. I didn't know it was that bad.
Older guys like us. Interesting.
But WhatsApp is pretty.
Find that file.
WhatsApp is pretty encrypted, so maybe it's a decent way to scam, I guess. So be careful, all agents using. If you get random foreign numbers, WhatsApping you. Last one.
Yeah, it's tough because you really have to you have to answer it because you don't know if it's real or not real. And so then it's kind of like, but you gotta really wade through it fast.
I had a gal that was a client of mine that years ago, I shouldn't say a gal, but she was a very nice lady. Her husband passes away. She immediately is so upset. She goes back to Singapore with her family. And all of a sudden I got contacted through WhatsApp saying, hey, I want to sell my house in Brooklyn Park. I heard you're the guy in Brooklyn Park and in Edinburgh. And I said, sure, I'll take a look at it. When can we meet? She goes, well, you can't, but I have cameras on in the house. So, I can see you and talk to you and on the phone, and then I can see what you're pointing to or whatever. And I'm like, it was so weird. And we sold the house, did great. Never met her in person. Wired all the money to her in Singapore. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's see your, okay.
Me listening to yet another real estate guru on Clubhouse who has never actually worked in real estate before. Oh my God. So true. So true. So many of these unbelievable speakers were, great insurance speakers and lender speakers. And now all of a sudden they're realtor speakers and they're telling us how to sell a house. And it's a joke.
It is a joke. I think that what a lot of people don't realize is that right now there's a gigantic opportunity in what they call the coaching arena. Coaches have conventions. Coaches have coaches that coach them on how to coach people. It's unbelievable, this industry that's out there. And so it's like, there's this whole new genre, and it's just, people are like, well, what's the most lucrative industry? So they start going after like real estate. I have zero problem with anybody that's in this business that knows what they're talking about. But like you're saying, Chris, where they're coming from being a recycling specialist and now they're going to be in real estate. Well, I live in a house, so I can basically talk to real estate agents,
But there's a lot of the principles are the same. It is. If you call 7,000 people, 5 people are going to buy. That's pretty, it's just what it is. Do you want to call 7,000 people? Go for it. You don't need a coach for that. All you got to do is call 7,000 and I guarantee you'll get at least 5 deals.
Yep. Walk 100 miles on a treadmill, you're going to drop the weight. Weird.
Yeah, it's a weird concept.
You got to work. Here's
knock on doors.
Coach. Work hard.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
You'll be successful.
I'll tell you what I'm doing that's really fun. I've got a guy. He's a good friend of Nick's. I actually played football with him, and he got licensed in Vegas and now Arizona. And this guy is I'll do anything.
Is that the guy we went to dinner with?
Yes, Cody. Yeah.
Nice.
He's bought 2 properties, and but this guy is just like, just tell me what I got to do. He's not afraid of anything. And
well,
I'm like,
we knew that when we took him to Caesar's Palace because we were concerned, being a college kid by himself, that he wasn't getting enough to eat, so we take him to a big buffet that was like $58 for the buffet. And this guy ate a half a cow. I mean, he was steaks and crab legs and oh my God, he could eat. I was like,
and Chris Schwartz got him to bartend because he was playing at UNLV. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Poor guy.
You should share his information. We should bring him on the show.
We should. I think that'd be good. Nick,
get a Vegas connection, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. Hey, so this next segment, how big of a problem is a one-car garage? Say if you're selling, you're marketing, or what can you do if you have a one-car garage to improve it?
Nick, it really depends kind of where that one-car garage is located. So if you're in Minneapolis, maybe not as much as if it's in Champlin, because little bigger lots and more city life. But I think the biggest thing with garages is that it's storage space. A lot of times it's storage space. So if you can create a shed or ability to be able to add on, I would definitely be promoting that. But if you're in the under $400,000 range in Minneapolis, the house can totally overshadow that garage for sure.
Well, and I agree. Generally, correlation between bedrooms and garage is very important because you have a 6-bedroom house. You're probably going to have more than one driver. You're probably going to have 2, 3, 4 drivers at sometimes because of the kids growing up, right? So usually the ratios are the same. So you go into a neighborhood where we're selling big 6-bedroom 2-stories, they need big 3-car garages or 4-car garages. Now that exact little Rambler you saw, there might be a really nice 1 or 2-bedroom Rambler with a nice basement. You can see it's a lookout in the front, which is very unusual for Minnesota because it's very expensive to build that way, but it's cool looking. But the thing I observed right away was look at the windows above the garage. Now, this is very clever. Like what Chris was just saying, this is right on the money. You have a garage that, let's say that garage door is 7 feet. Well, you got about another 5 feet above that. So now you have a 12-foot high garage ceiling height. Now you have storage that you can hang down. You can hang bikes. You can hang whatever. They actually even have some of these cool at the State Fair. A couple years ago, I saw a guy that basically had a system where it was a bar and it would twirl and lift up the pallets. So he had like 3 pallets wide in the back of his garage. He hit a button and all like his riding lawnmower, snowblower, and kids junk would all come down together and then rise back up together to this. And I'm like, no ladder needed. So now you can be an old guy, not have to worry about falling on a ladder. You just hit a button. Pretty sweet. Smart going up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so it's coming up with solutions towards that 1-car garage. But in general, if we're looking at it totally, a 1-car garage will hurt you. But there's certain circumstances and ways in which to be able to kind of get around it. And it all plays into it. Andy's right on the nose. I mean, you do have a 6-bedroom house, you got a 1-car garage. That might be a problem. But if it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Minneapolis where they're using bikes and commuting and they just have a car that sits in the garage, that's not going to be a problem.
See, if that house had a 3-car garage on it, I could sell the crap out of that.
I'd love that. It's a good looking house right there.
I think it is too. I really admire it. I love the stone up the front. And
kind of a walk up. They basically got a lookout kind of type lot. You had to kind of bring it up a little. Looks a little more pronounced.
You see how the basement window, Chris, coming out the front? That's a front lookout, which I'm guessing in the back, the yard goes down, so it's a forced walkout. So they might have had a higher water table or whatever it is, and so they have to bring the house up higher, which adds the steps in the front. But that's all okay. It adds to the character. I think it's kind of cool. As long as you like steps.
I'm with you.
Because I bet you from the garage, you can go 5 steps down and you're in the basement too.
Or 5 steps up, then you're in the main level. Just saying.
A couple things quick before we wrap this show up. Costco is cutting their mortgage program. Do you guys know anything about this? Is this a big deal or?
Yeah, because the easy freaking refis are gone, man.
My wife cut off my Costco membership. I'm not happy about that.
Hey, you can come with me, buddy. I love going to Costco.
I know. I do too.
You know what, though? I kind of switched because I'll be honest with you. They don't sell dirt bikes or toys like that like they do at Sam's Club. Oh. Sam's Club has like the kid-minded person in mind, the pools and all the cool stuff.
But did Sam's Club cut mortgages out? Because I think that's what we're supposed to answer here.
They knew it wasn't in their business plan, so they never got into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really.
Well, I think it's just this is indicative of everybody else. So the easy refi business is all gone. So it's like They were just sitting there saying, hey, are you thirsty? Here's water for sale. Well, now everybody's bringing coolers with them. So they're like, okay, that business is over.
And here's the other thing. I would think maybe the mortgage companies that they're working with started getting rid of those people that were doing those programs, because they had to drop them so much, and they just had a whole bunch of them, and now they don't have as much, and the mortgage companies probably can't, do it for them anymore. So.
Well, and Chris, for those that don't really know, but like mortgages, there's what they call refi business, and there's purchase business. Purchase business is where they're working with the real estate agent and they're trying to go out there and actually have you actually purchase a new property, okay? Versus refi, you're staying in the property you're already in, and you're just refinancing to lower your interest rates. And so it's a different business. There was a lot of refi from people going from 4.5 back down to 3% or 6 to 4, whatever it was. And now when rates are back up, I think everybody that wanted to refi was already refied. So now there's a lot of pressure on purchase business, and purchase business is a little slower right now because there's not a lot of inventory. So what's happening is these mortgage companies are laying people off, basically.
Totally. Perfect.
Nick, you're on mute, bud.
It's our last thing because it involves our YouTube channel. Make sure to go subscribe to that. We're posting all videos on there. Hopefully get some exclusive content as well. But we had a comment about Stop Wishing for a Housing Crash, our episode on there. And this person said this: poof, no one actually wants a crash. It just has to happen. The only ones to blame are those pushing sales and getting extra greedy. Doesn't take a genius to see these people destroying the working classes and communities. The circle jerks of exploiters want us working extra hard to keep the crash from happening that they themselves created. Do you guys think about this?
Yeah, because people don't need a place to live, bud. They all want to live in government housing or their factory housing like they do in China. Good idea, buddy. I'm just telling you, the rest of the world sucks. America freaking rocks, man. And I'm telling you, you got to understand that all over the world, everywhere that Nick's going is having fun. Ask what the percentage of homeownership is there versus in America. It's ridiculously low. People don't get opportunities. They don't have the same opportunities we have here. Ask anybody that's an immigrant that's in the U.S. right now, why'd they come to America? They're like, oh my God, the opportunities here are ridiculous. Anybody can become a millionaire. Anybody can buy a house. Anybody can get a car. It's like they understand the opportunities, where I think people that get fat and sassy, kind of sit back and go, oh, geez, you're not going to bring the steak to me anymore. I have to get up and go get it. What? Rooney, now.
Hey, Nick.
I have to cut my own steak? How outrageous. I have to work hard? Oh.
Nick, I want to really thank you for bringing up that comment. I love it when Andy gets going.
Hey, I might need to switch my coffee to do 50-50 decaf, but I'll tell you one thing. Everybody that I know that works hard in this country and is smart with their money, and as opportunities come along, risk is reward. If there's no risk, if it's big, fat, and sassy and easy, there's no upside. So what I say back to you is this: whenever you sit and go, oh, this is a little risky, that's how you gain ahead. That's how you get ahead in the life, in the world that we live, that we create. And if you don't take any risks and you don't ever invest in yourself and you don't want to work hard, yeah, it can be a real tough road for the whole life, Gotta work hard.
See, this is why everyone needs to subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can start getting big on there, because we'll have many, many comments like that, and Andy will dissect each one and go after people. It'll be lots of fun.
And I do no longer want my phone number shown on the site. I do not want. Listen here, you son of a bitch! I was going through 20 phone calls a week. You're such a dink. Yeah.
I'll take your phone calls, Andy. I'll do them.
Yeah, you call my representative, Mr. Rooney. You should actually have that headband tied around your head, man. It should go around your head.
Yeah, exactly. I'm ready. All right, we got to go.
All right, guys. Hey, wonderful episode. Make sure to give us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, reviews on Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, and post 3 digestible clips each week on YouTube and Facebook. Give us a like, give us everything, and see you next week.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Real Estate Radio Hour. Don't forget to visit our website, realestateradiohour.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast listening app. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or sharing us with a friend. Until next time, stay awesome, Twin Cities.